What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And this one I want to break down what's going on in Tesla stock, what you should be watching for moving forward. I'm also going to be talking about what's going on with SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. Some very important things going on in the news, and so we have some bad news coming out throughout the markets. I'm also going to break down how on earth this could end up moving these different stocks. But before I break anything down about all this information, let me just mention a couple of things. I'm firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire community as a whole. Anyways, let's talk about the market, what's going on. Tesla's a bit red right now as we have some concerns about its margins that came out on the news. And Tesla's a little bit down, especially after the Chinese sales numbers came out. But it's making an attempt to try to bounce right here at this support. So I'm going to be watching this very carefully. I'm going to break down some very important levels. Now, as far as SPY goes, SPY is kind of green in the pre-market. So is the IWM. SoFi is green. Apple's a little bit red because of bad news. Nvidia's a little red because of bad news. And QQQ is green alongside Microsoft, GME, Shopify. Most stocks are actually kind of green right now. Just a couple of them are red because of some bad news. So I want to break this down. The first thing to remember is that Charles Schwab had its earnings and they ended up doing a little bit worse than expected. So they beat on EPS. Their profitability, was still decent, but when it comes to revenue, they ended up missing on revenue overall. They declined 16% relative to a year ago. The net income also fell. And overall, this led to some downside for the share price. So even though they beat on EPS, their revenue was a miss, and this was bearish news for them. Now, when it comes to news affecting the markets, as a reminder, we have Harker giving a speech at 10:30 a.m. That's going to be 1 hour after the market opens. So it's very important to watch resistance and see how this affects the markets. Three other pieces of news include Morgan Stanley cut the price target on Apple to 210 from a 215, and they are basically keeping an overweight rating nonetheless. So this is bad news for Apple. Nvidia is hiking its GeForce Now membership fees by up to 40%, which is bearish news because of slowing demand. And then finally, we're seeing declines in iPhone 15 sales in China, which is raising concerns for Apple and also for Tesla as well. And there's a lot of headlines coming out saying that Tesla's margins are just not that great, and it's very important to watch it. So all this news is coming out about Tesla. We're going to be watching to see how Tesla's affected by all of it. We're going to be watching some very, very key levels. All right, so Tesla right now is below this support at this 250 area. So we actually broke below support. Now it's going to be treating 250 as resistance. If it breaks, it's going to be watching 254, which is the 4-hour 200 EMA. If we break below 250 and we fail to hold it, 247.5 is the next level. Then we have 245 and 244. So what is more likely to happen? Well, right now, Tesla is still in this channel. I actually never touched this since yesterday. We're still in this channel and it's still trying to hold it. So it's making an attempt to try to get back up. I'm not truly bullish or bearish as of right now, unless we can see Tesla hold 250. If it holds above 250, we could see Tesla make its way back up towards this 252.5 area, then potentially even 254. But the margin news is pretty bad for Tesla. There's a lot of concerns that Tesla's margins are going to be really bad. This is really affecting the share price as we're seeing some negative headlines coming out. So we're going to be watching, can Tesla break 250? If it breaks 250, there's potential for it to try to get all the way back up towards the top of this channel, or at least make it halfway to at least 252.5, if not 254. And then we could reject somewhere there and start sinking. If Tesla, fails to even get above 250, that's going to be a bearish signal. And we're going to likely retest 247.5 and come all the way down, slowly decline to potentially 244 or so. So we're going to be watching this very carefully. We're going to be watching to see if we can try to get above 250 when we open. That's going to be very key for open. And for now, Tesla it's attempting to try to bounce, but like I said before, guys, it still has to break 250. It hasn't broken it yet, so we have to be very patient on this one. Now, when it comes to SPY, this is actually a whole different ball game because SPY wasn't hit with specific, really horrible news. So we had this channel I called out yesterday, right? We had this move, this bounce that was most likely coming with the bullish divergence. And this bounce, I think Tesla should have bounced with SPY and the QQQ, but we got some bad news that stopped it from being able to do so with the margin concerns. But SPY did get this bounce right now. This is when we opened during the pre-market, right? So this isn't market open, it's just a pre-market. We're at this resistance right now. If we reject right here at 434, we could come back down to 432. If that fails, let's watch this gap to get filled towards 430. And if that fails, let's watch 427 for the next support. If we break this resistance, however, we could start pushing even higher towards 436. So we're going to be watching to see if we break or not. So it's going to be a very, very key resistance. As of right now, we're kind of like struggling to break above 434. So watch that level very carefully. If we get a big rejection, this thing could start sinking towards this lower area to fill the gap. If not, if you break it, then 436 is on the table. But don't forget to watch our gap support at 432. So that's from the pre-market. We will see if we get a rejection or not, and watch those levels very carefully. On the QQQ, the same thing is basically going on. I was talking about yesterday how there could be a bounce on the QQQ. If you look at the QQQ, it's trying to rebound a little bit. We're currently around this 366 area. I was talking about 367 yesterday, so we're getting very close to my target. But you're going to be watching this resistance to make it up here. Sometimes it could fall a little bit short because of this resistance right here at 367.25. So I do see a little more upside, but it could reject. So be very careful at 367.25 and then followed by 367.5-ish, which is where we have this trend line of resistance in this channel. So we're going to be watching this little pop and possible drop on the QQQ. So watch these levels very carefully. We will see how things go from there. And by the way, I forgot to mention, if we break below 366, you're going to be watching this potentially come all the way down towards this next support right here at 364.8. That fails us. We have 363.5. And if that fails us, it's going to sink all the way down to 362. For resistance, if we hold above 366, if we manage to hold this level, the next resistance is going to be 367.25. That's the critical resistance, followed by 368 being critical resistance 2. To be really bullish, you want to see it break 368. To be really bearish, you want to see it break below 364. We will see what happens, so watch these levels carefully. Anyways, for Nvda stock, I just wanted to mention that Nvidia is also looking a little weaker. It actually came below the trend line just temporarily before making its way back up. And now we're barely testing 451. So Nvidia is still a little bit weak after this bad news came out in the morning. If you're bullish on Nvidia, you want to see it break above this white trend line. From a technical analysis standpoint, it should have bounced based off its divergence, like I said yesterday. But the reason why it's failing is because we had some bad news. So we're going to be watching this white trend line right here. If we break this trend line, we could turn bullish, but we have to get above 453.5. If that breaks, we can start pushing towards 460. If you reject off this, we could come right back down towards 450. And if we fail to hold 450, the next level to watch for is going to be 448 and then 444 on Nvidia if that ends up breaking. And if that fails us, it's going to come all the way down towards 440. So watch support very carefully. It is on the downwards channel, but it's trying to bounce right now. Just watch this white trend line, which is going to be very, very key for it. And we will see which way Nvidia goes from here. It's trying to get a hold above 451, but we'll see if that holds. For Apple stock, this is the last one we're going to talk about on TradingView. Apple came down a little bit because we had the bad news from Morgan Stanley cutting its targets on Apple. If Apple manages to just hold above 178.5, if we manage to break above that, I could see it making a move up towards 179.6 all over again. But as of right now, looking a little bit weaker with some bearish news from Chinese numbers. Chinese sales are dropping, not to mention the news involving the price cuts. So Apple looks like it might just kind of range trade here instead. It may not get the bullish case. We're going to be watching support at 177.5, not to mention 176.5. And it may just continue to range trade around these levels, at least for the time being. So we're going to be watching this level. I think it's just going to range trade for now. It looks like it's just going to be stuck within this channel, and it's not going to do a whole lot for the time being after this bearish news came out. But just in case, if you want to be bullish on it, you want to see it break above 178.5. If you're really bearish, you want to see it break below 176.5. That's when it's going to start sinking. But for now, it's kind of stuck, so it may just trade back and forth, and it might not do too much. Anyways, that's pretty much it for the video. I went over the majority of stocks. SoFi is still kind of green. So is SPY. Most stocks are actually kind of green. If you look at like Carvana, the IWM, SoFi, Mullen is green. Microsoft is green, even like Meta, Amazon, they're all green, just like I predicted yesterday. It's just that a couple of them fell behind because of some bad news. Even for Tesla, we had some bad news that came out about their margins. Many analysts are saying they're going to have very weak margins, so this is really negatively affecting Tesla. But from a technical standpoint, I had to make an adjustment. Let's see if Tesla can break 250 or not. So watch that resistance and we will see what happens from here. Anyways, that's it for the video. Thank you all so much for listening. Hopefully these levels and what I said was very helpful. I'll see you guys very soon. Thanks again, guys. I'll see you guys in a couple of hours, and peace out.